Thanks for staying tuned. I'm Stanford Howard with the HGP Sportscast. We begin with cricket. West Indies slumped a 4-0 series loss after losing the fifth and final match of the series against England. More in this report. England elected to field, with the Windies trying to register a win before leaving England. After a slow but solid start, Chris Gayle plummeted 40 off 29 balls with 5 sixes and 1 4 before falling in the 8th over. The score at the time was 52 for 1. The Hope brothers then carried the Windies along to 86 for 2 when Kyle Hope was dismissed for 33. When Marlon Samuels slowly made his way to the crease, that slot was further manifested in his batting. A number of maidens ensued and all the steam went out of the Windies' batting. Samuels is slated at number 4 in ODIs, a position granted in the past to the likes of Sir Vivian Richards, Clive Lloyd, and even Brian Lara. But nothing the likes of those greats manifested in his batting. He made 32 off 10 overs, offering no real help to the cause. It was Shays Hope 72 that brought some respectability to the Windies lineup, and their eventual score of 288 for 6 after their 50 overs. Cameo by captain Jason Mohammed 25 and ODI debut Sunil Ambrose 38 helped the Windies to reach what was considered a below-par target. The Englishmen didn't waste any time in reply. They racked up 71 runs off the first 10 overs. Jason Roy, who was given out LBW for 96 off Cummings bowling, was the only wicket that fell for the Englishmen. Johnny Bairstow's 141 and Joe Root's 46 were enough to get them home in 38 overs. Courts Guyana Inc. is advising parents of students taking part in the Pee Wee football tournament of the date and timings of football matches at the Thirst Park Ground on September 30th. The fixtures read, at 10 hours St. Margaret's Primary versus Clonbrook Primary and Winifred Garden Primary versus Golden Grove Primary. At 10:45 St. Agnes Primary versus Golden Grove Primary and South Wrongville Primary versus Mucker Primary. At 11:30 hours, School of the Nations versus Victoria Primary and St. Ambrose Primary versus Kaluuya Academy. And at 11:30 hours, School of the Nations versus Victoria Primary and St. Ambrose Primary versus Kaluuya Academy. At 12 hours 15, Smith's Memorial versus Denamstel Primary and West Wrongville Primary versus Enterprise Primary. At 13 hours, Stella Maris versus Mace Primary and Tugville Primary versus Susdike Primary. And at 13 hours 45, Supply Primary versus Sophia Primary and J.E. Burnham Primary versus Good Fortune Primary. At 14 hours 30, St. Agnes Primary versus Marian's Academy. At 14 hours 30, St. Agnes Primary versus Marian's Academy and North Georgetown Primary versus Redeemer Primary. And at 15 hours, St. Stephen's Primary versus Tomeri Primary and St. Pius Primary versus F.E. Pollard. And in hockey, GT&T National Indoor Hockey Championships action continued Thursday evening at Cliff Anderson Sports Hall, with National Ladies decimating newcomers Bingo Spartans and GCC Pitbulls drew with St. Stanislaus College. Kristen McLengum has more in this report.
The National Ladies continued their predictable dominance of the women's division with a fine display of scoring. Taking the court against newcomers Bingo Spartans, the National Ladies amassed a team record of 14 goals for the easy victory. The brave Spartans can boast, however, of being the first ladies team to breach the national defenses with 2 goals to their name from Abusedi Cadogan and Kirsten Gomes. It was the veterans who produced the match of the evening as GCC Vintage took on Antonio's Grill Hikers. Despite GCC being the favorites in the match based on earlier performances, Hikers midfielder Devin Monroe seemed determined to create another border washout. With the Hikers earning a penalty stroke in the 12th minute of a scoreless game thus far, Monroe converted the first of his 3 goals for the Hikers. Vintage striker Philip Fernandes drew the scores level at 1-1 just 1 minute later with a rebound after a fine save by Azad Diabru in the Hikers' goal. The match continued this trend as Monroe put his team up twice more with GCC leveling the score right after through Patrick Edgehill and a Dwayne Scott penalty corner. The game ended a 3-3 stalemate. Other results for the evening were Pepsi Hikers defeated Hikers 5-3, National Green defeated Bounty GCC 5-4, GCC Pitbulls drew with St. Stanislaus College 2-2. Pizza Hut GCC defeated Inex Links 5-0. Reporting for HGP Sportcast, I am Kristen Macklingam.
Thank you, Kristen. The Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs and the Guyana Football Federation have organized a double header to help provide relief to persons in the Caribbean who were affected by the two recent hurricanes. Javon Vickery has more.
The Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs has fielded two Heritage All-Stars football teams that will be up against the Guyana Football Federation's President's X1 team and an under-17 team in two charity matches this Sunday at the Everest Cricket Club ground in aid of persons in the Caribbean who were affected by the recent storms. This is a collaborative effort between the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs and the Guyana Football Federation female team. This match comes hot on the heels of the just concluded annual Indigenous Heritage Games that saw female defending champs out of Region 7 retain their title, while Port Kaituma defied all odds to bag the male title. The Heritage All-Stars team include Frankie Parks, Casey De Silva, Joshua Aaron, Keith James, Murphy Felix, Kieran Solomon, Albert Smith, Mark Valenzuela, Nicholas Peters, Lindell Joseph, Ackley Bucknan, Gerald Isaacs, Collier Daniels, Canadian Smith, Clinton Williams, Delano Mentor, Kevin Mingo, Sion Semple, Jagong Jangonk, Jason Ramjan, Julian Joseph, and Troy McLennan. The Ball Weavers take the field in the evening's first match from 18 hours, followed by the feature encounter at 20 hours. Admission is $500 and all proceeds will go to those affected by the hurricanes. Javon Vickery, HGP Sport.
That's all we have for this edition of the HGP Sportscast. Do have an enjoyable weekend. Back to you, Javon.